All right, now to pay tribute to this year's Record of the Year category, once again, Larry Batiste and the Too Cold Chili Bone Tech Band.
Okay, all right.
All right. Well, welcome here to Bay Legends. I'm here. This is Simon Russell, and this is my host, Zina Escovedo.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
And
Randy Gallerin over there. Yes.
Now, this has been a dream come true for me because I've been hearing about Larry in so many different circles, but we have the wonderful Larry Batiste here.
Yes.
And yeah, mad love, man.
Oh, man, thank you guys
Welcome,
so
welcome,
much.
brother.
Yeah. What a treat. I feel like I'm the one need to be interviewing you guys because you are the true legends.
Oh, no, brother.
My little
Not
sister
even close.
here, who's really my big sister, but she's little. Call it what you want.
Well, we wanted to bring on the show because you've had a long-standing career in the Bay. I mean, truly a Bay legend on countless records. You've worked with everybody in the business, from church to R&B, every style.
Well, I do have to interrupt you because actually I called him yesterday and I said, can you send me a bio? And he says, yeah. And I think I lost count, but it might have been 20 pages long of his history. So I had to take an hour out of my time to read all of the people.
You
yeah.
wanna check. You wanna check, don't you?
So,
You know, I just try to keep it busy. You know, I don't know how this came about. You know, my whole career has been a blessing. I've just been able to, you know, work with great people and have great mentors in my life.
Yes.
And that's been the whole thing, you know. It's like God, it's almost like God has just planted people in my life, the right people, you know, in different areas, you know. So there was a music mentor, there's the Bill Bell, and there was the vocal guy, you know, Phil Reeder, and I was part of the Castleers of Castlemont. There was the business person, a Jewish guy named Jeffrey Graubar was an attorney. Wow. The time when my business partner Clay Tobin and I decided to start a publishing company in the 12th grade. And, you know, we came in, he said, well, we need to talk to somebody like a lawyer. And so we looked up who was the hottest person in the Bay Area, and it was this guy, and he represented Janis Joplin, Santana, you know, Journey, all the big acts. So we said, let's go talk to him, you know. And he thought that we were like older people. We walked in with our little briefcases in the 12th grade. And he's, you know, he kind of chuckled, but, you know, he gave us the time of day. It was people like him who just mentored us, you know. And so we've just really been blessed to have great people.
That's amazing.
You know,
because back in the day, you had to have a briefcase to look important.
That's right.
You had a comb in there and some cologne.
That's right.
But other than that, it made you look important.
And I saved $100. I was, you know, so we was ready. We was lawyer ready, you know. But so he spent the whole day with us, took us to lunch, and then I said, you know, Mr. Grobart, you know, how much do we owe you? And he says, no, it's okay. I see you guys are really going places anytime. I said, no, we're prepared. And the 100 was burned in my pocket. You know, we're prepared to pay you. He says, are you sure? And I said, yeah. He says, okay, let's see, 7 hours at $375 an hour. You know, I mean, I had to take all that back.
After all of that.
And so, but it's people like that, you know, how sweet is that? And so for a year, when a contract would come in, he would say, let me look at that. And so basically what he did was taught us how to read contracts and what should be. And that really strengthened the business part of our thing, you know, because we were starting the publishing company. So it's just been a blessing. So, you know, all my life, I've been trying to pay it forward, you know, and bless other people, you know, because where do you get that stuff from? How do you supposed to know? Right. So, you know, it all It all works
Circle,
out.
circle, full
Yeah,
circle.
yeah.
And a lot of musicians don't know that when they're first beginning. I mean, when you're young, you just want to play. You're happy. You'll do anything, and then
Yeah.
you sign bad contracts,
Yeah.
and it messes up your at least 10 to 15 years
Yes,
ahead of you.
Absolutely. And then you realize that that's the bottom line. So I just, I loved music and stuff, but I also realized I loved business as well. And I love figuring out how to get paid. It's like, okay, this is really great, but I'm hungry.
That's more important.
Yeah. So
where's your inspiration? I mean, do you write your songs on piano?
I usually, when I come up with music, it's usually from the piano. I'm not a piano player. I'm not a Simon Russell. but I do start from there, and either I'm writing music or I write lyrics or I'm doing arrangements. It's all God. I just hear all this stuff in my head, and when I started playing, I started off as a trombone player.
Oh, really?
That's so interesting.
Yeah, no trombone jokes, please. but
I don't got any.
but I started there, and then I started singing in the band when the singer didn't show up, and then we started writing songs. I started, Clay Tobin and I started singing a bunch of records and stuff like that. And then when I got to college, I was a trombone major, and
Wow.
part of being a music major is learning a little bit about all the different instruments, right? And so I didn't know that was kind of setting me up to be a musical director, because during that, I was able to understand, the oboe and the voicings of the violin, the viola, and whatever, all that type of stuff. And I always I grew up in R&B and jazz, that kind of thing. But when I got to college, I got into rock and all these other different genres because of my environment. And so that was kind of setting me up for doing musical directing gigs. And I ended up, with the Grammy gig. And that's all genres of music.
Yeah.
And just learning how to love and appreciate all genres of music. And whatever it is, as long as it's excellent. And because there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
So
No, that is amazing. Now, you mentioned Bill Bell. And we would love it if you'd come back and do a segment where we're going to just dedicate to Bill.
Oh, absolutely.
If you would come, and we just want to get people from the Bay.
Yeah.
And maybe also Joel Smith is another guy.
Oh, my God.
We want to honor these guys.
Oh,
But,
yeah. And we were so blessed that we were able to do a tribute to him, a year, maybe a less year than the year before he passed, which the Escovedo family was a part of. And, we was at another friend's memorial, it was Daryl Coley. And we saw Bill Bell there. He spoke, and there was Dave Wilson who said, let's give him his roses while he's here. Let him know how much he's appreciated. And so we put together this big thing, and it was all love. And he was there. He played. It ended up being his last, time he played. And so he's done so much for so many musicians around here. Just his work ethic, and just how he used to just call you out, if your stuff wasn't right, I'm going, ooh, that's not going to be me. You know what I mean? You be sitting there in stage band, and he hears something dissonant, and he's like, okay, you play your part. You play your part. You play,
Out.
pack up your shit. It was like, you go home, learn your part, and call me back when you know it. And if your seat is still here,
if
you can come back. So I'm going, ooh, that's not going to be me. So, that kind of thing. So you just, that stays with me, I
mean, well, it's that expectation of excellence, right?
Yeah.
He wanted you to be excellent, and he saw the potential.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like you can't skate through it. You're going to
be
coming up. Or
You know,
don't,
it's basically, practice. Do your part. Be prepared.
Right.
That's all he was saying. It's like people are paying you.
Right.
Right.
Go home and learn your thing.
Your stuff.
You got it in advance. It's not like we throwing surprises at you.
Right.
Right.
So I carry that with me too. Because I also do the Tech Awards for NAMM. It will be my 26th year,
Wow.
going on if it happens. It might be virtual or whatever. But, it's the same type of thing where we need to send the charts ahead of time. We send the MP3, and there's only one day to rehearse before the show. And there's 60 bumps, and there's 4 or 5 feature performances. And there's a 3-hour rehearsal to do all that. And so I really know if you've listened to the the music or
Yes.
know it, and so I carry that same work ethic in terms of what I expect with the musicians in LA when I do that. And then, if you don't know your stuff, then Clay and I wrote a song. If the phone don't ring, it's me.
That's real talk.
So that kind of thing.
That's cool.
When did you learn? When did you learn how to first read music, and who taught you? Because I know it's a really hard thing to learn.
Well, in the 4th grade when I started playing trombone,
Wow.
everybody takes the little test and you
Yeah.
start. So I started actually really reading music in terms of the trombone part, but in terms of like writing songs, that came from ear. Just sitting, I had a aunt and who was married to this guy, saxophone player, and he played with a lot of the big band, Count Basie and Duke Ellington. He was badass
Wow.
dude. But this deal is he died when I was 7, and he somehow became an alcoholic and that thing. And so my aunt said, she blamed it on the music. She said, the music is evil, I don't want anything musical in my house.
Right.
So she gave the instruments away, and we got the piano. Wow. And so the piano sat in the garage, and things got thrown on it and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so, as things would happen in life, as I was growing up, I would retreat to this piano that nobody cared about.
That's right.
And so I kind of start playing with notes, and I'm going, oh, this note sounds good with this note, and this one sounds good. Oh, that's a chord, and progress. I started writing songs, just by ear,
Yes.
and so that's kind of how it started. And then, music has always been my medicine.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
something would happen, I would retreat to the garage to
Right.
this piano that nobody cared about,
Right.
and I would write the song, document the situation, and I was free, And so I would go back out into the world, like a new happy person.
Oh, it's very
So
therapeutic.
the music has always been my medicine and my best friend,
Yes.
and that kind of thing. So we were blessed to get that piano,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and I was blessed that I didn't have to share it with nobody. Nobody was interested.
But I think too, and it's actually everything that he's saying is such a good metaphor, because it's kind of the same thing. Like my family, they have a, they do music schools and music programs, but it's to kids who they think is, didn't have good parents. And it's kind of like the piano, that you were saying, like they were thrown out or thrown away as something bad.
Yes.
But then somebody will discover something that is good. Like the piano had no use until you found what it was meant for. So it's the same as children.
Yeah.
Is that they think that probably they're bad at one point, but then when music comes into their life,
Yeah.
it just changes everything.
Yeah. I've been lucky enough to listen to Quincy Jones live tell his story, and it was the same thing. He, not exactly the same, but in terms of music being a savior, saving his life. He grew up around gangsters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah, straight up.
and he was, going down the road to no good, and
Yeah.
they put him in this room, and there was this piano,
Mm-hmm.
and then there Quincy Jones was born, and the rest is
The
history.
rest is history. Yes. So tell me, how much did you grow up in the church? Was that
No, I didn't. Well, I went to
influence?
church, but that wasn't my. I'm not a church musician or
Okay.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, a lot of people will say, I got influenced by the church.
Right.
Yeah,
So
but I got influenced by life, by my environment.
Yes.
By being just flexible and being open, and that's what I think brings me to all types of people and all genres of music.
Yeah.
And so I was really, I grew up, and in terms of church, I think my father was a Catholic, and so we went to, my mom was really flexible. That's where I get them. She was Baptist. So
Okay.
we would go to the Catholic church, and then we go to the Baptist church afterwards,
So one was kneeling and the other one was.
Right. You know what I mean? And so, and then I kind of got that. And so when I got to high school, it was all about music. So I used to visit my friends' churches, no matter what they were, whether it was Buddhist, whether it was whatever.
Yes.
And so I was just open to all that, and so I think that really helped just, in life, music and everything, attitudes.
Yeah.
And
So much history there.
just,
A lot of history.
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
My father was Muslim,
Uh-huh.
and then my mother was Jewish, and then went to Christianity.
Uh-huh.
So I had all of that growing
Yeah,
up.
right.
We were doing the dreidel, and then all of a sudden we're doing Christmas, and I'm like,
Right, what?
I just want presents.
How many can I get?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
But it was just, but a lot of rich history there, and the music that came with that was very influential. My
Yes.
biggest was obviously like Ray Charles was like my
Oh.
guy. He was my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just admired his timing and his
Play, sing,
soulfulness.
soulful,
Yeah,
and
just
then
Everything.
he
Yes.
broke out with country.
Yeah, he do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, exactly. That's everything.
Did you could ever get a chance to work with Ray at all?
Well, actually, kind of. I did a beer commercial with Ray Charles, and but we weren't really playing. So at that time, I was a trombone player, and so they wanted me to play a trombone player. I'm going, I could do that. but it was the type of thing, and it was like Brazilian. It was for Brazil, and the beer was some kind of brand. And we were on the rooftop in San Francisco doing the commercial, and it was just being in his presence.
Yeah.
Was just amazing.
Yes.
And then a few years ago, I think probably the last album he did, he recorded a song that I wrote, and it's called "I Will Be There for You." It's a duet with what's the girl's name? She had the big song from Frozen, "Let It Go, Let It Go." What's her
I
name?
cannot
Izzy?
remember.
You know
Always
me.
forget her
Don't
name.
get me started. I'm the worst at names. My wife. My wife tell me I'm in the wrong business. I can't remember nobody's name. But I know your face, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's all good. No, I really think that's wonderful. I've always wanted to go see Ray Charles, and when I got a chance to, I started saving up money for a ticket.
Uh-huh.
He passed away.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was going to go see him in Vegas, but someone told me that in his later years, the show, he didn't really stay on stage that long.
Oh, really?
'Cause
Okay.
He just got, he's so frail.
Right.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I would have gone to see him for 15 minutes.
Oh,
I would've-
excellent.
That would have been worth
Oh.
It would
it.
have been worth it.
This is like James Brown.
Right.
Like one of my first concert my very first concert I went to in life was Ike and Tina Turner.
Oh,
Wow.
And how high that bar was.
Yeah.
Then the
Wow.
second one was James Brown.
The-
And so that's when he was doing the splits and
Yes.
spinning around like a top and all that kind of stuff. And then I saw one of his very last concerts, and it was kind of sad, but it was still James Brown. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't dance and all that. He would wumble, and then instead of doing the camel walk that way or slide, he would just look that direction. He was just looking that direction. Now imagine that's me. I just went over there.
That's my intention. I'm intending to.
Right. So he was like, we go, okay, look at
We
him.
got it.
He just went, So,
Oh, that's classic.
And so you were commissioned. You were commissioned to do the Oakland Symphony.
oh yeah, that was really good. I've been blessed to sit on all these different boards and stuff just because, what I do. And they had a grant, for a few years
Wow.
where they would team composers that don't normally do classical music. You know, they were teaming with the symphony for, you know, do projects and stuff. So they had me as an advisor for 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And so I would just recommend people. You know, there was one year I recommended Narda with Santana, and they created a piece, beautiful piece. And another year I think it was Patrice Rushen or somebody like that. And then they called me this one particular year, and I said, okay, let me think of somebody. They said, no, we want you. I'm going, what, me?
Wow.
So I said, yeah, you and Claytoven. You know, so
That's
Claytoven and
incredible.
I did 2 pieces for orchestra, and it was 200 voices.
Wow. Wow.
It was amazing. You know, like usually there's no budget.
Right.
You know, you may have a 4-piece, you might have an 8-piece band or whatever. But you imagine me sitting at home thinking about, I wonder what the piccolo's gonna play.
Wow.
You know,
Yes.
you're writing for the piccolo and the oboe and the,
Right.
you know what I mean. And so, you know, we writing on this little program,
Wow.
and then to actually hear the
Hear it.
instruments play it, you
Bone
know.
chilling.
That had to just.
Just
Ooh.
God again. I'm going like, why? And they gonna pay me for this? Are you? What?
right.
You know, I'm like, how much do I owe? You know, you gonna pay me? Yeah. Okay.
But then what I wanted to ask you about is you mentioned Claytoven a lot. So you
A
guys
lot. Oh, let me tell you, I
you guys
met.
have got a long history together.
Look,
Yeah.
obviously,
this
right?
guy right here is a genius.
Yes.
And it's all God. I talk about God a lot. But look, you know, I was in this talent show, or, you know, I must have been 8, 9, 10 years old. There's a little battle of the band stuff. We put the little bands together, and we were at rival schools. And so, you know, I had my little band. We thought we were bad.
Right.
And then this other band came on, and Claytoven was in that band.
Right.
And, you know, he supposed to have been, we was doing James Brown, and he's supposed to have been like playing the saxophone part, but they were broke. And they didn't have any saxophones, so he was playing the bass clarinet or something, playing the saxophone part, being Maceo on the bass. I'm going like, but he was bad.
We was
And,
killing it.
and so that's when we met. So I say solidly, you know, maybe I say 10 years old we met, and then we realized that we didn't live far from each other. So, you know, our parents would let us visit each other, and then we started writing songs. So that's how. So I've been knowing him since I was 10 years old.
Wow.
You know, I'm 64 now. He's 64.
What?
Just, you know, and so we used to be at each other's house every day. So that's how we end up starting a band together, you know, starting a publishing company in the 12th grade,
Unbelievable.
doing all this stuff. He's
Yeah.
my right-hand man, so, and a genius. And that's God again, because, you know, I look at my inspirations, you know, God, my mentors, and the Claytoven's right up in there. Because, you know, you ever been on stage with somebody and they're so amazing that you're going like,
Yeah.
I'm, you know, my part. Oh, let me get my.
You're just listening.
Oh yeah.
You're
I'm
listening.
just in the audience right there.
Yeah, you almost want to get off the stage.
He's
don't
what,
you, man?
yeah. So I talk about him a lot because he's such a major part of my life and stuff. And so we don't do every project together now. You know, we do because we got our stuff going on. But we connect. We talk almost every other day. You know, and
What a blessing.
yeah, and we do all the award shows together, and I'm like the face, you know, but he's like the arranger, you know. We talk about the ideas, but he's the one who actually makes all that stuff happen, and I kind of put it together. And I'm the people person, you know. I try to create win-win situations because you can imagine we got a lot of divaism that happens. So I just try to, you know.
Well,
Make everybody happy.
Speaking on that, do you want to mention any divas that you?
No.
I was about to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no.
No,
And you worked with Will Kennedy, right?
Oh my gosh! So he's the other brother.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Oh, wow.
yeah. Will Kennedy's the other brother because you know, his brother Herschel, and so Herschel was more of our age. And actually, when Claytoven and I was in the 12th grade, Graham Sister Station was starting up.
Wow.
And then we went to a few rehearsals because they said, "Oh, these brothers." I played trombone, Clay played sax, and Herschel played trumpet. So, oh, this would be bad. Horn section, and they sang too. You know, the whole thing. So we were going to do that whole thing. And then they were talking about, doing some road gigs. And now we're in the 12th grade. And my mother and father, they weren't having it.
I know they were.
You're going to graduate from high school.
Right.
I don't care if no graham cracker, whatever his name is. You know what I'm saying? So there went Graham Central Station.
Wow.
And so they went on about their stuff. So
Well, that's a blessing that your parents, saw that you needed to finish. Yeah, because there's people that go a whole different direction,
Right. So Will Kennedy was, is Herschel's brother, little brother, and so we connected. And then part of my beginning of the recording career kind of kicked off with Bill Summers and Summers Heat. Bill Summers, famed percussionist. His career started with Herbie Hancock, and it actually started with Quincy Jones. He did all the percussion work for the docu-series Roots.
Wow.
Right, and so
Gotcha.
so he invented sounds, that's all
Right.
Bill Summers,
Yes.
So he broke off and did Herbie Hancock. Then he did his own thing, and then he enlisted Claytoven and I to produce his albums with him.
What an
So
honor.
it was the three of us, and we were signed to Fantasy, then signed to MCA, and we had some minor hits, some major hits in the South, but and then eventually Will Kennedy joined the group as the drummer, and so we were connected. And when we stopped doing Bill Summers and Summers Heat, we had a little group called Private Eye for a while.
Wow.
And so there was just me, Claytoven, and Will Kennedy, and so that was all good. That was really great. So Fantasy signed us. And we did one record for them, and then after we put the record out, we got one of those letters. Apparently, we called ourselves Private Eye, and so apparently there was another group with the name Private Eye,
They did.
and they wanted to get paid.
Oh,
So although they had been defunct for about 5 years, but they heard about.
Where's my check?
They said, yeah, it's like, oh, now I've been seeing those cats in a long time, but. We had trademarked that name, so if you give us $100,000 or whatever it was, you guys can keep using the names. We're gonna
We'll change it.
we don't think so. So that's kind of what happened to Private Eye. But we continued, to work together and stuff like that. So
Now tell me about that. Now you mentioned that you were hits in the South. Explain to the listeners how that works. People assume that you get a hit and it's just everywhere. You can
Right.
hit in certain areas. Right?
yeah, you do. Sometimes I don't know. Markets deem you as Southern acts, and so we just really click there, and it depends on the program director. Whether they see you. They really was. I mean, there was times where we were number one and Earth, Wind and Fire was number two. It was like. It was really crazy. So as in later years, we began to get sampled. And it was, it was a lot of the kids that grew up in the South that would sample our records, Young Jeezy and people like that, and and they would, because they knew our records from back in the day.
Well,
And then we didn't get in any play here. We come home and people go, "You still doing music?" So our whole pattern was, and then we signed the MCA. They paid for us to have a ranch in the Petaluma area, so we would go to the ranch and we would write for 3 months. They would spend the next 3 months recording. Then we'd take the next 6 months, and we would tour the South.
that's amazing.
And then we would come back and repeat the same pattern. We did that for about 5 years.
That's amazing.
And so that's where they wanted us there. It's just like the record I'm doing now. I've been working with John Lee Hooker Jr.,
Oh,
the
Yes.
Reverend John Lee Hooker Jr.
Yes.
He's got an amazing testimony.
He
and
does.
past,
We're
where
definitely gonna get him on the show.
oh
Yeah.
please, because
Yes.
he was a scoundrel. He was a lowlife. He was a thief. He was an imposter, impersonator, all that. He ended up in San Quentin, and then he got out, and he's been clean and sober for 25 years. He became a big name in the South. I mean in Europe. And he ended up with 2 Grammy nominations. And
Wow.
then about 10 years ago, he started feeling like, I need to go back to the prisons. Those are the forgotten ones. No one goes to see those guys. So he gave his agents a year notice. He gave his band a year notice. And, we did a record in 2012. And it was right when we were doing that record, he's going, I got to go to ministry.
Wow.
And so he went to school. He's got like a master's in whatever the,
Right.
theological, whatever the school is you go to.
Yeah.
Wow.
For that, and so he does prison ministry, and he's in there baptizing folks, and he does, all these type of things. And so we started recording a new record, but this was a gospel blues record.
Wow.
And so his whole thing is amazing. So people who knew him back then are going,
Right.
you working with Charlie Hooker, but they have no idea, what his testimony is. It's amazing. And but with his record, since it's blues, we're getting a lot of play, but it's all in the South. He's on 100 radio stations in Mississippi, North, South Carolina, and all this stuff just because he's earmarked. We got a little surprise though coming out. We got a third single that we did a remix on. I'm going
Sweet.
you're not gonna be, we're gonna widen your territory.
Because the video that we were both in, right?
Yes.
So yes.
Yes, the first single is oh my God, the Escovedo family. I've always wanted to. I was going through videos and I saw this video, "Let's Stay Together," that Peter Michael had done on Pops.
Yeah.
And I'm going, this is beautiful. This looks like a movie. This is this is really incredible. And this is my family. I feel like the Escovedos, we grew up together.
Yeah.
And even in my trombone days, I played a little bit with the Escovedos. And so I'm going like, yeah. So I was looking for the opportunity. So when we was getting ready to do this single, and I called Peter Michael, of course, he was going, of course. And that was another blessing because we did it green screen, which is, all in one day. And he had surprises. I thought I had guests, then here's Zina, here's Juan. And then he said, the phone rang and he said, oh, can somebody open the door? My parents are parking.
Right.
I'm going, what? It was such a fun day.
But it just seemed like it really just was a family reunion.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was coming together, and when we could hug,
Yeah.
Everybody was hugging each other, and Paul Green was there.
Paul.
And, I mean, that was just just so emotional. And,
Yeah. Oh, my
But
God.
I remember after seeing the video, because I didn't know what my brother does. He
yeah.
just pulls stuff out of the,
Yes.
and what was so amazing about the video after I seen it is that John Lee Hooker, it was a couple pictures, right, that he was in prison. They
Yes.
showed him in prison. And then the next picture, it shows him in front of this, not the same crowd, but a different younger crowd, but he
Yes.
was ministering
Yes.
to them.
Yes.
Powerful.
So,
Yes,
and
that
that, I
was
don't know how many years that was in between, but that
powerful.
was,
Yeah. The song is called "My God Is Holy" by the Reverend John Lee Hooker Jr. And it was just a magical day. It was one day of work, and by the time Peter Michael finished with it, it was like, I'm going, is that us? Is that what we did? And he did such an amazing job
he
with
did.
everybody. I don't want to brag about it too much, but I'm very proud of that project.
Oh, that's amazing.
That song, it's really good. It's like, within like, a couple of months, we got 25,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
And for independent record, we don't have anybody behind us
Right.
or anything like that. you
Right.
know.
Well, can you talk a little bit about the business? Because, I mean, is there an industry anymore? I mean, I'm really curious. Cause,
Well, there is for the American Idol folks and for the people who, The Voice, people already have a following.
Right.
I think that record labels, for lack of better words, is just kind of lazy and, in terms of like, they don't have to spend those promotional dollars getting people
Right.
to get to know you anymore. So,
Non-existent now, yeah.
right. And so if you already have 1 million or 2 million viewers every week on some show, then it's like a no-brainer. That part is taken
That's
care of.
Good business, yeah.
Good business. And so like, that's kind of, where it is. And thank God they kind of shot themselves in the foot because it's opened the doors for independent artists and for people to
Right.
have more freedom to do what they want to do.
Thank God.
You know, thank God for YouTube and everywhere
Right.
that's able. People can you develop your own fan base and stuff.
Right.
So this is just a great time, I think, for besides COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know, otherwise,
Yeah.
it's really a great time for independent artists
Yeah.
to do. You know, you used to be concerned about age and all that type of stuff.
Right.
People, now people just want good music.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
just they
They
get to
want,
express themselves
know,
at home.
At home, you know, I learned so much from my kids. I have a 19-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 28-year-old.
Wow.
And I learned so much from them growing up. You know, it really broke my heart when my first kid was in college, and I was talking about buying a record. She said, "Oh, Dad, I don't buy no music no more." Why would I buy music when I could just,
Yeah.
And so just trying to make that whole transition to like, oh my gosh, you just stabbed me. You know? But just trying to make that whole transition go. But you realize, it can work.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So-
Now you were familiar with Mike Renta? You ever worked with Mike Renta?
Yes.
So we had him on the show last week, and he mentioned something about being in the zone, and that once you start thinking, when he was talking about performance, and how important is that to you when you're playing? Is like, when you're in it, you're not thinking too much, you're just in it, and you just let it happen.
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
I think that's really thing. I think that's what people want to see, your authentic self. They want to see
Yes.
somebody. They don't want people painting by numbers or reading by numbers
Right.
or whatever. And I think that's the thing that makes you, you.
Yeah.
That-
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That when you're just doing your thing. So that's everything. And I think that's what audiences want. And I think that's the uniqueness, that people want to see. That's the magic. There's a certain thing about being prepared and then allowing room
Yes.
for magic.
Yes. Yes. Not
You know what I
lots of- yeah.
mean? And so, like, I'm one of these guys. I'm not a real high-tech guy. I'm more like most of the records I record or with live musicians.
Yes.
I like energy in the room and that kind of stuff. And I don't want things to be over-rehearsed.
Right.
So I kind of get the sketch of what it is. I get the guys together so we're not totally surprised because, you're paying by the hour in the studio.
Right.
Well, the right guys.
The right guys,
You
right?
gotta
True.
get certain guys.
True.
that
The
you
right
know are
guys.
gonna capture it,
Yeah.
right?
And it depends on what the project is,
Be-
just
yes.
hiring,
Mhm.
the right guys for the right genre of music.
Right.
And so I kind of, we kind of get the structure together, and then I just leave room for energy,
Just do your thing.
and that means so much,
Mm-hmm.
And so I've done it the other way, but this is,
It's you.
Well, the organic feeling, that you get from playing with some great musicians. I've had the pleasure of playing with Billy Johnson and Rob Watson, and
yeah,
and we just go up.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
just say, we just start playing.
yeah.
Which is, kind of normal in the jazz realm. But
Yeah.
when you get great players and you have a certain chemistry together,
Right, right.
something just happens.
Yeah, it's match. And the thing is, for me, like I don't think I'm great at anything. Like I know enough about stuff, but I'm not like a great pianist or although I write with the piano, but I hire people. But I know what I want. I know how to make it happen. I hear all the strings. I hear the horn parts. I hear and I know how to talk to you, to
Those performances,
to get it right. So I'm kind of like a producer, kind of, putting it together. And so, I guess the thing on the performance side, the main thing I do maybe is sing. But even with singer, I'm not a singer. I'm a singer that gets the job done. You know what I mean? And so, but it all comes together, And so that's why when people ask me, like, what do you do? I'm like, hey, man, I got 15 jobs in the music business. And my answer is usually, well, what do you want me to do?
Right.
You
Right.
tell
What
me
do
what
they
your
want?
dream is, and I think I can make that happen.
That's a beautiful. thing.
So if it's whether putting together a show, I get producing the record, writing a song, whatever that is, or finding you the contracting, for this and that and the other, arranging for this and what the other. You know what I mean?
Well, you're doing kind of like what Quincy Jones does.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's one of my. I just idolize him. And I see you as one of like kind of the Bay Area's Quincy Jones, man. You got that kind of
Seriously.
vibe, and you're just working your butt off. And
Well, I'm telling you, it's a blessing to keep working. But I'm talking about the real Quincy Jones, though. Oh.
well,
I remember the first time I met Quincy Jones. It was like I was at an event, and I saw Quincy over there. I'm going, oh my God, it's Quincy Jones.
Right.
So he had a handler. So I says to the handler, I'd like to meet Quincy Jones. So he says, yeah, just after that person, then you go. And I went, and he shook my hand, and it felt like it must have been 2 minutes, but I said it felt like 10. And I'm going like, right, this is great. And then so he says, so what do you do? And I start telling him I'm producing this and that and the other, and he says, like the thing is, remember, man, because he was producing James Ingram at that time. He said, I'm producing James Ingram. He said, sometimes, he sings a little sharp, sometimes a little flat, but, I'm telling you, be sure not to polish the shine off it. Always keep the same thing, because you'll never get it the same way twice, trying to make it perfect. And so, like, that's really...
good.
That's the real stuff.
That's great advice, right?
It is.
But my head's like going to cry. I'm going like, because I can't get over the fact I'm talking to Quincy Jones. I'm going like, he's talking to me. He's like asking me questions. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if he's just being nice, or does he want to really know what I do? But he's responding, and giving me the right shit.
Right.
Telling me, So every encounter I had with him, he's the true Godfather.
He is.
And then I was at another one with him. He's always said something. First one was don't polish the shine off. The next one was you got to go to know. And so, like, he's basically saying, you could read a book about it. Somebody can tell you about it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you got to have your own experience.
You got to go through it.
Because mine is not going to be like yours.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to really go to know. I'm going, Okay, so every time there's some little nugget, and then this very last time I a few months ago when we were able to see each other, I think it was December, publicist invited me to his house for a little gathering. Wow. She said, now it's going to only be 30 people there. And, I think you'll fit right in. I'm going, really? 30 people? Only 30 people? And I'm one of them? Somebody gave you some misinformation. You know what I'm saying? So I'm driving up to, I feel like I'm driving up to heaven. He's going up to his house.
Sweet.
And so I'm kind of, I'm nervous. I'm going like, I'm not going to know anybody there. I know him. And so as soon as I get there, they got the people out on the road, checking off your name.
Taking names.
And the first person I saw was a friend of mine's son who was working there going, I was hoping it'd be you. And he checked me out. At least I know one person.
One person, yeah.
But anyway, as it turned out, if they got in, I knew, 5 or 6 people, that kind of thing. And of course, Quincy, and we had the, the whole Bill Summers thing. And it was just awesome,
That's insane.
It's insane. It was insane.
So that you mentioned to us earlier before the interview, you said that one of the big things that you were about is mentorship. Yeah. And so I wanted you to kind of talk about that. How important is that in your life? And
oh my God, like I was saying, like when we started off with the publishing company in the 12th grade, we always had people who mentored us. Yes. We used to start with Bill Bell. I remember Bill Bell, saying to Clay Tobin and I, "Hey, do you have a suit?" We said, "Yeah, we got a suit." Okay, look, I want you to show up, certain address, at 7 o'clock, and blah blah blah, and we show up. And it's Billy Eckstein. I'm going, we're playing with Billy Eckstein tonight. We're like in the 12th grade. I mean, but that's mentorship,
Right.
I think the next one was Eartha Kitt, and it was like, and so like what he was doing was showing us that it's real, that you can really do this. That, and then I thought later, wasn't that something for him to entrust that to some students?
Honor.
we could have blew his gig.
True,
We coulda-
right.
we, they could have said, "What the hell, Bill? What happened to you? What were you thinking?" But he had that much faith in us.
That's amazing.
To put us on that kind of stuff. But so that did so much for us and letting us know that yeah, we're worthy. You know, we can do this. This
Right.
is real. We can really be in the business.
Yeah.
And so that's mentorship.
Yeah.
You know, same thing happened, you know, with business and vocals and the whole thing. You know, there's a jazz producer named Orrin Keepnews. Orrin Keepnews produced Thelonious Monk, Sonny Rollins, you know, just
Real deal.
badass,
Yeah.
you know,
Real
the
deal.
shit. You know, he's the cat at Fantasy Records. And, you know, hired me for a session, trombone. And I walk in there, and it's all the cats that names I read on the records. You know, I'm going like, oh, my God, you know, why he called me? You know, I mean, why am I here with all these great
Right.
people?
Right.
And, you know, the way he made me feel, you know, he introduced me to the cats like, you know,
You're one of them.
yeah, like I'm one of them.
You're just-
You know, he says, "Oh, you don't know Larry Batiste?" At that point, I didn't know Larry Batiste. I said, but that's the way he introduced me. Like, you know, I was really somebody. That's so important. You know, and making you feel like, okay, I do belong here.
Right.
You know, and so that's the kind of thing that, you know, you especially try to do with other people when you're mentoring them and try to bring them up. It's just like you wouldn't be here if you didn't deserve to be here. You know what I'm
Pass the
saying?
torch.
And
Yeah.
and that's what we do. And so that's just the kind of the tutelage, you know, I came under.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, you don't want to fool nobody. If they're not ready, they're not ready. But
Right.
you try to put them in a position to be ready. And when they do get ready, you try to, you know, encourage them, empower them,
Amen.
So
you know,
true.
and put them in a position where
That's right.
they go, yes, I can, you know.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're currently mentoring still, right?
So
now?
I do that, you know. So I pick, you know, organizations that I got the professional one where I volunteer, which is the Recording Academy,
Okay.
my long time thing. But then there's another one called Music in Schools Today.
Nice.
And what they do, we advocate for after-school programs as teachers. It's kind of like your school here. You know what I mean? We do programs like that. We raise money for instruments and that kind of thing. You know, so I do them. West Coast Songwriters.
Oh,
We have a
yes.
conference coming up on September 12th. And it's, of course, it's virtual. But,
Yeah.
you know, just trying to, you know, create platforms. And when that situations, you know, we do one-on-one, you know, with people, we critique songs and stuff. We also have publishers come in, people who are music supervisors. They listen to songs, and every once in a while, a song gets picked.
That's
You know,
nice.
that type of thing. So, you know, it's really cool. But just trying to lift
Yeah.
people up.
Man.
You know?
I actually have a question for the both of you.
Yeah.
I just thought about this too. Is I always speak to my family, you know, the night before, and tell them who's coming and everything. And they were actually telling me, which I didn't know, and I wanted to know how you guys felt, is they will actually pick somebody who has a great personality as a musician to have them to work in a studio or, you know, on a show. And they might not be the best, but they will show up on time. They're very transparent when they're working with them.
Yes.
And they said that they will actually sometimes keep the same person because
Yes.
they're easy to work with.
Yes.
And so would you
Yes.
guys rather have somebody who's not a great person but just an incredible musician, or would you actually pick somebody that's not as great but is always
I pick the personality every day of the week.
Yeah.
so
You
that
know,
that
it's like,
just goes
you know,
over?
At the end of the day, people want to feel good about what they did and who they did it with.
Yeah.
You know, that is everything. The person that shows up on time, that's prepared, they're going to make your life so much easier, you know, than the diva, you know, who's going
Right.
to give you a headache and work your every nerve. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like, you know, this wasn't fun. And, you know, the whole gig is to return back turn music back to when we first started, which was, I think all of us, when we started playing music, we weren't thinking about money. We weren't thinking about mortgages.
Yeah.
We weren't thinking about trying to make a living, all that kind of stuff. We all started playing music because we loved music.
You're right.
And so, like, I've had situations where, you know, I was signed to one time for maybe 2 or 3 years to a music publisher in New York. And the whole grind was, okay, this is the #1 record in the country right now.
Right.
Write me a song like this. I'll be back in 3 hours. You know, so that was a tough school to go to. And it was a good school. But, you know, after 3 years, I'm going like, this is not why I started playing music. But, you know, I always say every experience is a good experience.
Right.
Because that taught me how to dissect songs, you know, hit songs, what was in it, and then not create that song, but another song with the same ingredients, you know, that kind of stuff. So that turns out to be a good experience for me, but not why we want to do it. So, but we do want to we always want to return back to why we started this in the first place, the passion, the love, and so you want to surround yourself
with good people.
With good people.
And you the same, huh?
Well, you know, sometimes you can have the tightest player, and they won't play what you envisioned. They're going to play what they, you know, because they're divas.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you might not even get the best performance, and then you might have some cat that comes in and goes, "Oh, that's what you want," and they give you some pocket, right? You know, whatever it is.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I mean, I would go with the same thing. You know, I agree with you on that.
So remember, for everybody out there, that it is really good to make sure that you have a good demeanor about you.
Yeah.
For every gig, right? For every gig, whether it's like 5 people, 200, you come with the same.
Yeah. You know, it's like when for a while I had a corporate band, and the whole we told everybody, look, we want you to learn these parts. And so, you know, I remember this guitar player was bad guitar player, and he came there, but he didn't learn the parts. You know, he said, okay, what key is it in?
Yep.
And he's gonna jam it all out. And you know, especially in R&B music, it's parts.
Right.
You know, it's a musical conversation. You know, that's what it is. It's the conversation. You know what I mean? And so everybody's in English and you in Japanese.
That's true.
Ain't gonna work out. But you know that thing about always bringing your best. You know, I have different parts of my career, and for one part, I was musical director, theater and stuff, and did theater. And I remember this whole thing about always doing your best. I had a friend who was a playwright. His name was Michael Lange. His brother was Ted Lange. He played the bartender on The Love Boat. And he came to my office one day, and he said, you know, my keyboard player is sick. My show starts in 2 hours. I need you. And he's my frat brother, too.
Wow.
I said, I ain't no keyboard player. You better get somebody. And I ain't. You know, I write my own songs and stuff, but I ain't that guy. Anyway, he breaks out in tears. He said, I'm going like, you know, I can't stand to see a grown man cry. So I show up, and it was awful. It was awful. It really sucked because, you know, it's a live play, and the best thing about it was it wasn't promoted well. There was only about 13 people in the audience. You know what I mean? But you know, I'm reading along, and then it says song, and then I'm, you know, trying to side read the song, and the actors on stage going, "What the hell?" You know what I mean? And so it was just all the way through, from top to the bottom. It was toe down. And so, but I did the best I could. And now the thing about that is that after the thing was over, I'm packing up, and I'm like, I don't want nobody to recognize me. I'm like packing up my stuff, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and this lady says, "You'd be perfect." And I said, "Perfect for what?" And she said, well, I'm this director, and I got this play that I'm doing, and it's just a 2-person play, and it stars Whoopi Goldberg, and I want you to play her boyfriend Luther, you know, but at that time, Whoopi wasn't Whoopi. You know, Whoopi, you know, she was on welfare, and the whole bed, and so I'm going, oh no, I've reached a all-time low now. And I got a gig with somebody named Whoopi, and you know, it's like... But you know, I try to be nice to everybody, so I gave her my number, and I, you know, went up to my apartment, And about 2 weeks later, I'm reading like a People magazine that says people to look out for. And there's this little chick with the dreads, and it says Whoopi Goldberg. I'm going, oh, that name sounds familiar. And then 10 minutes later, my phone rang, and this lady says, are you ready to meet Whoopi?
Wow.
And I said, yeah. So I go meet Whoopi, and Whoopi lives in this like house with a tree in the middle of it. It's like a tree house. It's hippie chick. And so like, but that came out of just, you know, being the audience, it just takes one person. It doesn't have to be back. You know, if you do your best, it just takes one person, the right person. But anyway, the end of the story, the play was called Moms. And I said, well, when do we start rehearsing? She said, I hate rehearsing. Let's just show up. And so the reason why it worked, you know, it was supposed to have been for 3 months, but we was held over. It was sold out for 6 months. And but the reason why it worked because she's a comedic actress, and I'm not an actor at all. I was scared to death. And that was the selling point. She would walk over to me, and I'm going, oh, shit, what is she going to say? You know, and I'd be all nervous, you know, and so she would say something, and I would look stupid, and the audience would crack up. You know what I mean?
So she wanted the rawness, just
Yes.
that complete rawness.
It really worked. And so what was significant, I'm going to end this story soon, what was significant was everybody was coming through. And but the night before we closed, Alice Walker came through. And then the very last night, a film director named Mike Nichols came by. Mike Nichols was
Wow.
huge. He was married to Diane Sawyer and stuff. And so he says, Whoopi, you were fabulous. He didn't say nothing about me. But he said, Whoopi, you were fabulous. You know, what else do you do? She says, well, I do this one-woman show. And she did 5 minutes of it. He says, look, in 3 weeks, I'm going to put you on Broadway in New York. Big party for Whoopi. She goes on. While she's there, she hears about The Color Purple. The rest is history.
Ooh.
She wrote Alice Walker a note. You may not remember me. My name is Whoopi Goldberg. Alex Walker called and said, oh, honey, of course. You were fabulous. Again, nothing about me. But, but she says, let me call Quincy Jones. You know, and so anyway, the rest is history. They did a Color Purple. And, but, you know,
That's amazing.
one of my many, many stories.
Well, you know, my brother, it is such a pleasure that you came on. And
Yes.
we want to do, as I said, we want to do a tribute to Bill Bell.
Oh,
we want
absolutely.
to have you back on.
Oh.
And man, I just, you know, I want to say it's a pleasure. And I hope that there's beautiful things in the future, which I have no doubt. And that we get to work.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
we need to
come
work
on
together,
now.
brother.
That's
You
what I'm
know?
talking about.
That's what we need to talk
Yeah, because he sings too. I didn't know.
Oh,
that.
it's ridiculous.
I'm looking forward to
That's
it.
how he gets
Yeah.
all the ladies. He goes,
Yeah.
hey, how you doing?
Yeah, he's got that voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, Barry White.
Well, hey, wait till we get, we got Sylvester Berkham.
Oh, my God,
Talk
he's-
about a low voice.
He is the keyboard player for the John Lee Hooker record.
Yo, you really?
The whole record.
Oh,
Oh,
you know, it's
my
already-
God. And all
it's
I hear
already
about,
raw.
who's on keyboards? I said Sylvester Burks, they fall out.
No said right there.
How'd you get him? I'm like,
Enough said. Yeah, that's all you have to say. But man,
Oh, my
thank
God.
you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
my
so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you so
I love
much.
you, Larry.
Yeah, I love you back.
Much
all
respect.
right, same here.
All right.
God bless you.
You guys have just listened to an episode of Bay Legends. We got Zina Escovedo and Larry Batiste. Thank you.
Yes.
And we are out. We'll see you next time.
God bless.
Bye-bye.